strange hairstyles, wearing a wedding dress and marrying himself, being buddies with Kim Jong-un, which even state presidents cannot do. These are just a few of Dennis Rodman's thousands of strange moves. Rodman was one of the most badass and toughest players in NBA history. He made history with Michael Jordan and was a 5-time NBA champion. But why did Rodman do these strange things? Was he crazy or a genius? In 1961, America was in the middle of the Vietnam War. It was also the year Rodman was born. Rodman's father was an Air Force officer in the U.S. Army. When Rodman was very young, his father was a war veteran. When Rodman was 3 years old, his father returned home, but soon afterward he went to Asia again. This time not to go to war, but to marry another woman. He is such a father that, according to him, he has 26 children from 16 different wives. According to Rodman, the number is much higher. His father has 47 children, and he is the eldest of his siblings. Although he has 47 siblings, Rodman grew up with two sisters and his mother. When his father fled to another country, he would spend his entire life without a father. Rodman and his family moved to one of the poorest neighborhoods of the city because there was no one to bring money home. His mother worked in many different jobs until Rodman grew up. A frustrated mother trying to keep her children alive, and fatherless children trying to grow up in difficult circumstances. Meanwhile, Rodman was very attached to his mother while he was growing up. So much so that when he was 4 years old, when his mother tried to send him to nursery school, he wedged himself against the bus door and refused to go to nursery school. But on the other hand, the home environment was also very boring for Rodman. In a house with 3 women, everything was about femininity. Rodman had no male role model. Dennis Rodman then went to high school. Rodman, who did not show even the slightest sign of basketball during his high school years, could not even get over his shyness. He was afraid of hanging with boys, let alone fighting with boys in class. He was always hanging with his sisters, and this caused him to be bullied. Dennis felt left out because he had no father. His favorite person was his mother, but he felt that she was more interested in his sisters who were better at basketball than he was. Both of his sisters were playing on great teams, winning championships. Rodman couldn't even make a layup. Rodman thought that for his mother to take care of him, he needed to excel in a sport like his sisters. So in his freshman year of high school, he tried out for the football team. He went to the team tryouts but could not make the team because of his short stature. Rodman was only 1.68 meters tall in his freshman year of high school. When he could not be selected for the football team, he wanted to try his luck on the basketball team. Here he made the team, but he could never come off the bench, and even if he did, he couldn't even make a proper layup. In other words, he was a terrible player. When he finished high school, he was 1.7 meters tall. It was impossible for him to be successful in any sport with this height. His mother had been the only breadwinner for years. When Rodman finished high school, he got a job at the airport and worked as a janitor. But Rodman's life changed completely because of a mistake he made while working in this job. Rodman was passing by a souvenir shop one night when he was working and was intrigued by the wristwatches he saw in the shop. Then, on a dare, he took the broom he was sweeping floors at the airport with and stole the watches by inserting the handle of the broom through the shop grills. He was arrested after the incident and spent the night in jail. After the investigation, he was found not guilty because he did not sell the watches and was released. When he went home, his mother gave him two choices. He could either go to university or enlist in the army. Unsure of what he wanted to do with his life, Rodman was eventually kicked out of the house by his mother. Homeless for 3 years, Rodman lived on the streets and slept in friends' houses. When he couldn't find a home, he slept in parks. He began to accept that he would be homeless for the rest of his life. Although Rodman was 1.7 meters tall when he graduated from high school, he experienced an unexpected hormone burst after graduation. In less than a year, he had grown to 1.88 meters. That's why he wanted to try playing basketball again. He trained whenever he could, trying to improve on a game he had been terrible at in high school. He also washed cars at a car wash for $3.5 an hour. As Rodman trained, he realized that he was not as untalented as before and was starting to improve. So, with the help of a family friend, he joined a small college's trial training and managed to get a 2-year scholarship from the college. Although Rodman took a good step for his future, he only played in 14 games at his new college and then his scholarship was canceled for failing grades. Naturally, he was also kicked off the team. He believed that he had no chance in basketball and thought that he would never be successful. Fortunately, a few weeks later, he received an offer from another school. Oklahoma State University coaches liked Rodman and offered him to play for their team. Rodman, then 22 years old, knew this was the last chance of his life and he had to take it. Rodman put up great stats in college. In his 3-year college career, he averaged 25.7 points and 15.7 rebounds. On the other hand, he would meet an important friend through this university, Burn Rich, who accidentally shot his best friend when he was 13 years old and could not get over it psychologically. Burn and Rodman met at the gym. They hit it off from day one. Burn invited Rodman to his house for dinner. Burn's mother was also pleased because, after the trauma he had experienced, he had neither a friend nor could get out of depression. But when she found out that Rodman is black, his mother went crazy. On the one hand, they disliked Rodman because he's black. On the other hand, they were grateful that he brought their son out of depression. In the end, Burn would cut off contact with his family because they called Rodman a black boy. For the first time, the two troubled boys had a good friendship. Meanwhile, Rodman's college team reached the semifinals of the College League. In that game, Rodman scored 46 points and made 32 rebounds and started to attract nationwide attention. He also grew up to 2 meters tall. Thus, Rodman attracted the attention of the Detroit Pistons after his success in college and announced that he would participate in the draft. At the end of this long journey, Rodman was selected 27th overall by Pistons and took his first step into the NBA. Let's not go into his detailed statistics. Rodman's style of play was defense and rebounding. He cared more about these than scoring. He spent the first 7 seasons of his career in Detroit, where he was a 2-time All-Star and 2-time NBA champion. By 1993, Rodman seemed to return to his old depressive days. Detroit was in the process of disintegration. Rodman had left the team and also divorced his first wife. In February 1993, Rodman took a rifle with him, pulled up in front of the Detroit ballpark, and questioned whether he wanted to continue living. The cops found him asleep in the car. Maybe he had killed his shyness and reserved self in that car that day. From now on, he was going to do whatever he wanted to do. Strange hairstyles, sudden tattoos, exaggerated piercings. He also started dating Madonna that year. He was nutting referees on the court, being more violent than ever. He even attacked Popovich, Spurs coach. Rodman, who had grown up quiet and timid, had become unstable. That's why he was going to leave the Spurs. Even his teammates were happy to see him leave Spurs. David Robinson had this to say about Rodman's separation: "It was like a zoo last year. Now we'll be able to just focus on basketball. There won't be any of that other garbage. Everyone is relieved." But for Rodman, it was not the end. In fact, it would be the beginning of the best years of his career. Thus, Rodman was traded to Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls. In his first year, he averaged 5.5 points and 15 rebounds and helped the Bulls win the championship. He would also lead the team in rebounding for the 5th time in a row this season. He wore a wedding dress this season, claiming that he would marry himself. Next season, he averaged up to 16 rebounds per game and led the team in rebounding 6 times in a row. This year, he became champion and won his 4th and 2nd title with Bulls. In the meantime, he continued to make strange behavior and even went over the edge. In one match, Rodman tripped over the cameraman sitting on the sidelines and kicked him in the groin, for which he was fined $200,000 and suspended for 11 matches. In his last season with Bulls, Rodman became a champion and won his 5th title. He managed to become an unforgettable part of this legendary squad. Let's not forget that Rodman had a very problematic profile during this period. He even skipped a training and went to American wrestling. He was going to decline anyway. Then he was traded to the Lakers. Then he played 1 year in Dallas, and we can say that his NBA career was over. He was one of the strangest figures NBA has ever seen. By the way, some people wonder what happened to his father. When Dennis Rodman became famous, or rather a millionaire, his father tried to contact him, but Rodman refused from time to time and said that he did not want to meet his father. But 42 years later, he agreed to meet his father and shake his hand. Afterward, he made the following statement about this meeting: "I don't hate the guy that brought me into this world. The fact is, if I saw him, I'll just tell him, you know, you're a friend of mine." Now, when we look at Rodman's life, we can better understand why he became the man he is. So we have come to the end of our video. If you have watched and liked our video so far, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye, to see you in another video.